Today is November 12th, 2025. In today's video, we are going to go over the European Union fracture starting in 2026 through 27. I'm going to give you a rundown of some brief astrology. Pluto in Aquarius squares nodes in Taurus and Scorpio in 2026. My prediction: at least one EU member begins formal withdrawal or treaty renegotiation. Strongly, I feel it will be France and Germany, and they will clash politically by or around June of 2026. The European regions weakens sharply by September, especially France and Germany. Who sides with who? Well, I get that there's a ego conflict between the two countries. It's almost sneaky behind the scenes. Alliance is forming without others' approval, so France may do something without telling Germany, or Germany may do something without telling France. Most likely it'll be France doing something, not telling Germany, but in the end, they're going to be forced into negotiation. So even if there is a dispute, it's only temporary. Because of what's going on in the world, they'll find more comfort in sticking together versus being separated. So there is negotiation there. I see a EU split mid-September through October of 2026 will be the start of this. This is when the fracture becomes public knowledge. Write that down on your calendar. September through October of 2026, the fracture will become noticeable and public knowledge, allegedly for entertainment purposes only, disclaimer, because YouTube said so. In my auto rights and astrology, but primarily in auto, I was also shown a secondary portion of the split. I see Europe divided into 3 alliances, not 2, but 3. There's a 3-way split on the astrological chart and how I can view it. It is not a clean 2-way break. I'm going to go over the splits and who sides with who, allegedly. The first split I see will be named, or something similar called, the Western Core. The Western Core. It feels to be France, Germany allies that will be loyal to Brussels. The countries in this bloc will be France, Germany, Spain, Portugal, Belgium, Luxembourg, and Ireland. The second divide will be the Eastern Security Bloc, better known as anti-Russia. These are going to be the countries breaking away politically, but not immediately legally. It's a lot of Aries and Mars security obsession, fear of Russian power. So they create the Eastern Shield based off of old narratives. And the countries in this bloc will be Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Finland. The third bloc, known as the Neutral Economic Pathway, Pragmatic States, could be something named similar to that. These countries are going to go neutral because they don't want Brussels dominance or Washington, D.C. dominance, and they don't really want to finagle with Russia. So they're called the neutral economic pathway. The countries in this bloc include Hungarian, known as Hungary, Austria, Italy, Greece, Cyprus, Bulgaria, Croatia, Romania. And I wanted to see who will move toward Russia, not necessarily as allies, but more economic, not political. And I was getting Hungary, Austria, Greece, Cyprus, Italy. And when I mention Italy, I'm only seeing partial. I'm getting something with South Italy. I don't know. Basically, they will have energy deals, reduced hostility, and no military action around or near Russia, and Russia will not them as well. In fact, I don't see Russia going after anyone unless they go after them. So it's not a friendship between these countries I mentioned and Russia. It is a economic realism, as my auto rights say. What top 3 countries will be most anti-Russia? We have the Aries Mars, dominance, Saturn, Neptune is fear, historical trauma, and of course we have NATO alignment. This bloc refuses peace and becomes Europe's hard line. Still part of the bloc I mentioned, but Poland, the Baltic states, and Finland will be absolute anti-Russia. The split appears around September through October of 2026, the start of it. Things are going to be in the media. You're going to hear about it. What I call the full 3-block structure appears complete by or around May of 2027, or even before that. These are just precise timelines, they're not exact. Just like with Keir Starmer, I say astrologically he'll be out by the end of December, but intuitively I see 2026 as premiere of him walking out completely, okay? So Europe is shaken up. Europe is going to be shaken up, but it's not going to collapse, but becomes more of a triple alliance system per se. But wait a second, guys, because I didn't get to another country. What country did I not mention? What about my beautiful friends and England? Well, listen, that was a surprise within itself. That's why I had to make a separate video and not put this in my prediction video for 2026, because there's so much information that came in, and we're already almost 9 minutes in the video. England and Wales is not part of any EU bloc, is how I was seeing it. Now, I could be wrong on this, but this is how I was seeing it. It acts alone. But Pluto in Aquarius hits England's 9th and 10th houses. And what does that mean for England? Now, I'm just speaking on England right now. It represents sovereignty, global autonomy, powerful individual identity. That's what it means. The people say, shouting out loud, Britain must come first. The people of Britain, or England as a whole, they have woken up. Britain first. That's all you guys are worried about, as you should be. And your words are going to be heard. Everything is coming to an end for the current powers that reside in England. Okay, back to what I was trying to say. So the 9th and 10th house brings in sovereignty, global autonomy, powerful individual identity. This will make England way too independent to join any European alliances or structures. You guys want to go independent, kind of like the United States. What I was seeing and what I have in my auto right is England will form a 4th path, not connected to the EU, not connected to Russia, not neutral, but independent. I hope this happens by May of 2027. Mars in a leadership house is very strong at that time, in those 2 years. That's why I know Keir Starmer is not going to be in power. There's no way. Then we have Aquarius, independence, Mercury ruling the identity with Gemini rising. You see, Gemini sometimes brings out the wild card. England becomes a wild card, a free agent, the broker. It stands between Europe and the rest of the world rather than with them. Let me repeat myself. It stands between Europe and the rest of the world rather than with them. So you're not against them, but you're independent. You're doing what you have to do for your country. You're cleaning house. So whoever takes power in the next year is really going to shake things up for the good. England will eventually oppose France, Germany quietly. That's right. That's what I'm seeing, and that's what I'm feeling on a psychic level. Let me just say that. This is what I'm feeling. England will eventually oppose France, Germany quietly because they both want EU leadership. Okay, France and Germany, they want EU leadership, economic control, and England wants neither. They want to be independent on their own. So while France and Germany are still really not making changes for their countries, bickering over the EU leadership, economic control, England's like, hell no, can't do it no more. England will refuse to be dragged into Eastern Europe's fear-driven alignment. And basically what I mean by that is fearing of Russia. You guys are like, no, we're over it. We're not worried about it. I see England is not going to go with the narrative anymore. England does not move into pro-Russia or against Russia. They will keep Russia at arm's length, but stay neutral. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning Russia so much here is because all the European nations fear Russia. And I really want to say that I don't see it right now. I'm sure down the line something's going to happen, right? We can all speculate, but I just don't see it right now. So England is just like, you just want to work for yourselves. England wants to stand up as a whole. There's no more ideology of fearing countries. There's no more bickering about who has EU leadership or economic control, because England's like, we don't want none of it. None of it. So England will become a global intelligence because there's a lot of Pluto in Aquarius that hits England, and it activates the MI6, the intelligence alliances, deep surveillance, and cyber dominance. Do you see where I'm going with this, England? England will become a spy state, superpower. England will become a spy state superpower, not a military empire. So you guys have military, but you're turning your technology and your main focus into a weapon, not an army. Okay, that's what I'm seeing. I see the mind becomes the weapon. England forms a trio with the United States and Australia. So we're going to see closer ties to England with the United States and Australia. England returns to a global maritime empire role, similar to, if you go back to the 1800s, but in a intelligence way, not military. So again, your main focus and where I see England going is going to be focused on intelligence, and the world is going to depend on that one day. It's not so much military, because there's military everywhere. England's like, we want to do something different. We're going to bring in the intelligence. We're going to be top-notch intelligence. That's where England's going. My final analysis is England's role between 2026-2027, I call the lone lion block. So there actually is 4 splits, but one is invisible, and that is what I'm speaking on. The Lone Lion Block. Again, the names could be a little different, but symbolically, that's how it's shown to me. So you're not with France, you're not with Germany, you're not with Eastern Europe or Russia. England will choose its own path and becomes closer to the United States and Australia, and will be the global negotiator of Europe and Russia. That's right, Europe and Russia. And you will also have the spy technology intelligence that other countries don't have. And so that's going to be your resources. Other countries, allies, are going to come to England for support regarding intelligence. Okay, guys, I had to share that and get it out. If you're new to my channel, please hit the like button, share, subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed again, please do so. And for my new subscribers and my old subscribers, I appreciate you all very much. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for listening.